Yeah, I don't know if my questions are relevant.
Because the thing is, we need finance questions, right?
Yeah.
That's the best thing the way to it.
Like I know, like executives, like one of my friends, some of them, they told me like when they
It's actually
did,
really good.
like they were executives,
But
they
the
did
other
summer
people don't show up.
crazy stuff. Like
Exactly.
they didn't get trained.
That's a
Because
fucking
usually like
question.
welcome guys to the CSU general election debate of 2023, the second debate I believe. So we'll get right into it. So I know both of you are running for VP of Finance, right? So I'll start off with like just a general question for both of you. You can start. What made you want to run for VP of Finance?
So throughout my career, I've been working with various firms or startups, and I've dealt with their finances. I've had to deal with different ups and downs in it, and I've experienced a lot of problems throughout, which enabled me to come up with either innovative solutions or at least forced me to think. I've also made my fair share of mistakes in that, which means I'm more apt to know what not to do as well as what to do in that sense. I decided to become more involved in student life because I'm an international student, and I found that there was a lot of underrepresentation of international students. As a person coming from Trinidad, it was hard to adapt to a new culture and sort of become familiar with a whole new type of process in university. And I feel like that entire thing could have been much smoother. As finance coordinator, beyond just the international student focus, I feel like I can make a focus I can make an improvement rather in terms of the processes in things like clubs, in terms of payments, in terms of budget allocations, as well as increasing bursaries for international students, which would be my main motive, as well as creating more sustainable revenue streams within the CSU.
Alright, so my reason why I wanted to run as a VP of Finance is because I want to do a positive impact for CSU and for all students. I want to improve their lives, and I know that as a VP of Finance, I will be working closely with other undergraduate students, and I will make sure to make their university life a better life and a more fun life. Other than that, I also have a lot of experience as a finance coordinator. So I have been a finance coordinator in high school for many nonprofit organizations. I've also been for other organizations that I have done with friends, and I was always the finance coordinator. I have also taken a lot of courses in management and finance, online and also in person. I have also taken a lot of, I have also done a lot of fairs and a lot of experience like projects as a part of my management courses. Another reason why I would like to run as a finance coordinator is my strong work ethic. First of all, I know that as a finance coordinator, I have a strong responsibility, which is that I will be handling student money, and I know that I am up to the challenge, and I know that I can handle it responsibly and efficiently, and I can do an efficient job.
Okay, great. Well, now kind of to base ourselves off what you guys kind of extrapolated a bit, I have another question kind of more into specific to what you'll be doing. So as a member of the executive board, what steps would you take to differentiate yourself from previous members and make a meaningful impact within the student body? So really, how do you envision step by step your kind of execution as VP of Finance?
Sure. So I guess I veer away from the sort of politics side of it with regards to talking about councils and stuff like that. I'm more so focused on my role, I guess, as a finance coordinator. For me, at least in every project I've done so far, the main focus has been developing systems that work and systems that don't break. There's this quote I like from a book, which is, you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. And I think within the CSU, or within any organization for that matter, that is very true, because we see a lot of things come together, a lot of goals being thrown out there in a lot of things. It could be in governments, everything like that. There's a lot of promises, but a lot of them fall short because there aren't very good systems to back them up. As finance coordinator, I would more so put an emphasis on those systems, making sure that point A to point B is at least a couple % faster than it was before, and more so focus on making sure everything runs smoothly.
Alright, so as a finance coordinator, I have a lot of opportunities to improve student life, which is my main goal. So I have so one of my main is to improve international students' lives, because I know that they are running through many issues, and I want to make their life a better life. I want to relieve them from the stress that they are having as international students. Another reason that I would like to run is to fund any group that is willing to increase extracurricular activities, whether they are activities just for fun, or whether they are also activities for the future professional lives of our students. This, and as a finance coordinator, I have the power to do that. Another thing, another very important point, is that I want to make sure that every single student knows where their money is going. And as a finance coordinator, I'm willing to increase transparency so that every single student has the ability to see where their money is being spent, so that they know that we are working day and night to improve their life.
Cool. So, right, like you guys are talking about kind of ways to improve student life, so I want to dive a little bit more into that. So, as the cost of educations continue to rise due to inflation and other kind of things that are a little bit out of our control, what strategies or considerations do you have for reducing the financial burden placed on students and improving their quality of life on campus? Not just, you know, like, yeah, like really action-based plans that you guys would see in that.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good question. Of course, as we are neither of us are the finance coordinator yet, so we don't know exactly what the budget looks like. So it's very hard to give a number for that. But in terms of the action that I think I would take, I definitely want to focus on international students and bursaries for them, but this does not neglect the current students as well. Ultimately, the student life of Concordia students is wholly dependent on the students. So a financial burden, for example, even if we can't offset that cost due to budget restraints, we can still help in other ways. For example, making food, better quality food, more available, subsidizing certain food costs. We may not be able to lower tuition, for example, or give every single student a bursary, but we can more than make the experience of being a Concordia student very accommodating for people of all socioeconomic statuses.
All right, so yes, what I can say as a finance coordinator is that regardless of the money that I will be having to manage, I will make sure that a big chunk of it will be going for the wellness of the students. I mean, after all, our student union is working to make a better life for students. One big interest is, of course, international students. International students are having higher tuition prices, so we should also bring bursaries to them and make it available to relieve them from the financial stress that they are having. But this does not only go to international students, it also goes to non-international students, whether they are permanent residents or just Canadian citizens. We should make sure that they are also benefiting from bursaries that we are making it available to them. Because they are also having a lot of financial stress through that. We should also make sure that all our facilities are within reach of the students. We should make sure that that all students are able to benefit from what CSU has to offer, such as, for example, providing them the best prices for rent, helping them find a place to live, and also providing them better quality food, to work with the hive, to work with people's potato, to make sure that they have enough money to bring them a high quality food, so that they do not have to go and spend more of their money.
Yeah, great. So now a little less related to the financial aspect of the CSU, but more so in collaboration and teamwork. So as a member of the executive board, how do you envision working collaboratively with your fellow team members to achieve your goals and affect change within the student body? And what strategies, skills, leadership qualities do you believe are necessary to successfully manage a team and accomplish shared objectives?
Okay, so that's a pretty loaded question.
Yeah,
so I'll
yeah,
tackle,
answer it
yeah,
the way
so I'm
you
going to
can.
tackle the last part of it first in terms of what skills I think are necessary. From my experience, I found that over communication and a sense of urgency are the two most important skills in getting things done as a team. Over communication in the sense of every little thing we do is documented and communicated within every member of the team. And in terms of sense of urgency, everything is done as if it needs to be done right now. There's no layover in the process, no delay in anything like that. It should be treated as every single task is a priority. In terms of the group cohesion, I am part of the Building Momentum slate, and we all have the similar goal in mind, which is we really want to foster that care for international students and double down on reviving Concordia student life on the whole. I've been here since 2019, it's 2023 now, and the experience has been drastically different now, post-COVID. And so we kind of want to revive that, even within the CSU. It's been much more active in past years to just get students to come out and just participate in student life and enjoy the things that the union wants to provide for them and that are provided for them. Because ultimately, in as much as your university degree is a step towards your career, it's some of the best years of your life, and we want to make sure that every student can enjoy that and no one walks through Concordia feeling as though they regretted it or it just felt like a menial task that had no end. And yeah, that's what I would do in terms of the group cohesion. I think those are the skills that I think are very necessary.
Alright, so I want to make sure that I will have a good relationship with my other coordinators to make sure that we do our tasks together and to make sure that there is no lack of communication, that there is no miscommunication, to make sure that student funds are being used wisely and being used at the good time and the necessary time. Because at the end of the day, we need to be using all of your money for your own good. We do not need to keep any of the money in CSU. We want to make sure that all of your money is being used for your own sake, for your own benefit. However, talking about building momentum, honestly, it is pretty sad to say that none of the members attended except for Karim. And this kind of shows how much they care actually about students and undergraduates. Even in the first debate, less than half of them attended. And I mean, I wish we would have a better full team so that we see how much they care about the undergraduates, but it is pretty sad that they did not show that.
Okay, that's good. So now coming back more towards the financial aspect again, you both talked about bursaries and kind of like ideas and ways that you would kind of bring them into the lives of students. How are you planning to get that money? Like, where are you planning to get that money from? Since the CSU already has a specific budget, they already have, you know, different categories and allocation within that budget for expenses. So where are you hoping to kind of achieve these bursaries from?
Yeah, of course, we don't want to, in bringing up one group, we don't want to bring down another group. So we're not going to remove funding from one group to fund bursaries for another project. So for me, I really want to focus on monetizing the media routes that the CSU currently has. I've been working in that field for the last 2 years. We've been running a newsletter company that's been monetized, and we put out Muslim news that goes out every week for the last half of a year, and we have thousands of readers. And I think that's a very viable path of monetization for the CSU because we have almost every single student's email. And it's not just monetization in the sense of we're selling students eyeballs, but we would provide them with information that makes it more interesting for them to read. Of course, no hate towards the current newsletter team or anything like that, but there are some newsletters that are just less interesting to read than others. And improving the quality of that while monetizing it, for me, could bring in quite a bit of revenue. As a matter of fact, just by if I saw the numbers, like the open rates, things like that, those metrics, I could be able to predict how much we could generate from that. But beyond that, there also may be inefficiencies in the budget right now. And again, I would only know that when I see it. So I do a full check on that compared to other years, see what worked, see what didn't work. Of course, taking COVID, inflation, all those things into consideration. And we would really just look at where money is being wasted, for example. And of course, no money being spent on a student is considered a waste. But for example, we may be overspending on a certain thing and we can get the same desired outcome by spending less money on it, and that money could be allocated to the students. It's just like Adam said, we ultimately want to give the students this money. Our goal as finance coordinators are not to save as much money. I don't think we got a bonus at the end of the year for how much money we save for the CSU, but we ultimately want to spend the money on the students. And for me, I want to bring in even more money to be spent on the student. That's just one stream, and there are many others I can think of, for example, like different sustainable investments. And that, I believe that's just one or two of the ways I think I would do it. And of course, as finance coordinator, as more opportunities present themselves, there would be a lot more chances for those things.
Alright, so as a finance coordinator, I can tell you that I do not want to increase fee levies, for example. For CSU, we already had to experience an increase in the fee levy, and I do not want this to happen again. I want your money to stay for you, and I want CSU to keep doing its project and keep increasing its projects with the money that they have now. And I have to thank my experience in CSU, as I have been also a counselor in CSU, and have also been involved in CSU before. And I can tell you that CSU has the money, however, it is not being well divided. So, for example, you have some committees in CSU, which I have been part of, that are in deficits. Actually, you have other committees that are having too much budget that is not being used, or that is being misused. So maybe it should be better to allocate more of the money to the coordinators that are using more of that money. Meanwhile, the other committees that are misusing or that are not using all of their budget, they should have less of that budget, so that in the end we end up spending all of your money, so that we end up serving you and not keeping some of the money aside.
Cool. So now a more kind of specific and I guess in a matter of saying touchy question. The Reggie's Bar has recently been subject of an article on the Link newspaper raising alarms about the possibility of Reggie's going bankrupt. For years, the CSU has supported Reggie's financially with quasi-yearly bailouts. As a threat of bankruptcy looms over the Reggie's Bar, how would you deal with future requests of financial bailouts? And what vision do you have for the Reggie's Bar in general?
Of course, like everything, in terms of the roles we would fulfill as the coordinator, I think both Adam and I can agree. We can't talk numbers now because we don't know the numbers, so it's really hard for me to say, like, yeah, I will bail them out without looking at the numbers. But besides just CSU numbers, it has to make sense financially. So we would definitely take a deep dive into Reggie's books and see what's going on. Even if we cannot bail them out, something the CSU can do, and what I would do as finance coordinator, is we can at least outsource it to a contractor, not the company, but outsource the planning to it. Think of it as like how companies file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. It doesn't exactly mean the company's going bankrupt, it just means an opportunity for the company to reform into a new company that can become profitable. So for Reggie's, it would just be finding a new way to become profitable while maintaining their image as a Concordia bar. So we would definitely focus just on optimizing those things and sort of streamlining the process, streamlining their financials, and just see how we can help. Again, Reggie's is a very important part of the life of Concordia, and we're ultimately here to improve that. So we don't want to see anything that's very known to be associated with Concordia go bankrupt or lose that.
Yes, definitely, and also I would like to say that I have been in touch with the Reggie's management team, and we have been looking at plans about how we should prevent Reggie's from going bankrupt. In fact, like Reggie's going bankrupt is a huge loss for Concordia and for all students, because they are accommodating like a lot of food and a lot of activities for students, and we should not see that anytime soon. So this is why I'm willing to do really like everything within CSU's limits to improve Reggie's. And to make sure that it will not go bankrupt, and it will not go bankrupt anytime soon, so that students will be able to benefit from that. And this is not only about Regis, it is also about every single major club at CSU. We want to make sure that they will not be going bankrupt anytime soon, so that like students can still benefit from it. In talking about Regis, we have found some solutions. For example, Concordia, CSU helping them, but also they are willing to. They are talking about increasing, for example, their menu, improving it so that they can accommodate more students. For example, they are thinking about bringing in non-alcoholic drinks so that Muslim students, for example, can go in and drink, which will bring in like some more, which will like prevent them from going bankrupt.
Yeah, good. I don't have any other specific questions, but I think it's also important, you know, as I guess adversaries, it's important that you guys kind of know what your differences are, and maybe if you have questions for each other, maybe. Any kind of doubts that you might have, or any questions that you would like to debate within each other, that would be a good moment now.
Yeah, I don't really see, like, I think I mentioned this to Adam the first time I saw him putting up posters. I don't see it as adversaries. As a matter of fact, the main goal of this is to get students to vote. It's not to vote for me, it's to participate in the voting. Ultimately, we want to revive student life and have a focus on students. And we're both up here because we think we can do that. Sure, maybe one person may think they can do it better, but the main thing in question is that we're both up here because we want to make that difference in student life, and we think that we can be that change, and we can be that driving force to sort of push CSU to another level. So I don't have anything in terms of like differentiating questions like that, but I suppose I would just ask him what was his motive in running for the finance credit position, for example.
Yes, I could say it again, actually. It's like, first of all, I want to make a positive impact in the Concordia community, and especially for students. I want to make a positive impact for CSU students, and I see my capacities as a financial coordinator because of my experience in that. I have been doing this for years throughout many nonprofit organizations, whether it is with my school or whether it is with my friends. I have always been doing that, and my position as a finance coordinator is only but going to enhance CSU life and improve student life in Concordia. However, I would like just to point out that the last time when the Regis question came last week, I was very saddened to hear that your colleagues building momentum were straightforward going. They were not going for solutions. They were rather going for explaining why the Regis is actually not a very good project. They were going to explain how they cannot do much about it, how the previous administration couldn't do much, however, so they would not be able to do a lot about it. And I would like to say that our goal is to do better than the old administration, is to always do better. And honestly, building momentum did not say the answer that I was expecting them to say. I just expect that the future administration is going to be great and is going to provide strong leadership unlike what I heard last week.
Yeah, of course, everything is open to interpretation in that sense. I don't think what they said, like, I wasn't able to make the debate because I was injured, but from what I saw from the recordings, what was said was not to the effect of, we don't care, we want Regis to go bankrupt. It's just that in their capacity, they, in that situation, may not have known. And again, like I said, it's very easy as students to look, or as people, to look from an external view and say, hey, I can do that better than this person can. Regis has been in business for years, they know what they're doing. It's really hard to just say that changing an item on your menu, raising price is the solution. We may not be able to bail them out fully. Again, I haven't seen the budget, so I don't know what the specifics of that are. But in terms of what we can do to help, I think what they more so meant was that in their own capacity, they were not able to do that. However, we can more than outsource that to a contractor to keep them in. Ultimately, we want them to get the best treatment, and if the best solution is putting someone else in to advise Regis to keep them alive, then our goal is just to do what's best for the CSU and what's best for the students. And again, full disclaimer, I don't want Regis to go bankrupt, I don't want the students to lose money, anything like that. However, if it came to a point where we had to prop up one institution by putting down multiple institutions, I'm not saying we're at that point, then a deeper look we have to take a deeper look at that to make sure it's feasible.
Yes, definitely there is that. But like the thing that happened last time is rather than they said that they cannot do anything within their capacity, and that is actually a problem itself. Like Concordia students are looking for strong leadership, and this is not strong leadership right there. Like first of all, as a candidate, building momentum should be more optimistic, should be more looking towards solutions than explanations to why they are unable to do so. And this is not like the strong leadership that CSU, that students would be looking for. And another thing is that last time there were only 3 candidates going there. I understand your reason, and it is understandable. However, who goes to a debate without their general coordinator, without their actual like president in the debate? This is actually a lack of preparation. It is. It can be interpreted, of course, but this is like how it could be seen, and this is not really strong leadership.
Yeah, of course, with the respect that the general coordinator, and I believe Harley also had a meeting that day, because on Wednesday there is the council meeting. But again, I'm not going to make excuses for not showing up for debate. I would prefer to go back to the leadership question. Because to me, a leader knows when they're out of their depth. I could simply sit here and say I can do every single thing you ask me to do. If we had an investment banking division of Concordia as a leader, and someone asked me a question about investment bank, I'm not going to give them an answer if I don't know what I'm saying. And I think as a leader, a very important trait is to know when you're out of your depth and know that you can allocate things. I fully get strong leaders, but I'm curious to know what your definition of a good leader is then.
No, a good leader is definitely when they know when they are out of the depth. However, a good leader needs to know their numbers and their cases in the beginning. And straight without knowing the numbers, they just went on and said, hey, we cannot do much about it. So instead of being optimistic, instead of saying that, hey, we will be looking through it and we will be looking for a solution, they just went straight up and just like said that they cannot do much about it. This is not obviously the topic of the debate. This was just like something that I wanted to point out.
No.
But of course, like I understand that. And in the end, it is like your slate, and yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm not defending in any way like what someone said. For example, this was between you and I, as well as what RCA stands for. Again, I just like to point out that anyone running for the position in CSU is there to make a difference. And ultimately, I don't think we should shame anyone for not showing up, for example, to debate. But again, they're all running because they want to improve student life. So not showing up for one debate might seem as something, but it may not be that in reality, because when push comes to shove and they become elected for their positions, they will still have to put in a serious amount of work. And I know a couple of them are currently serving in the CSU, so they know the processes quite well. And I know them as people, and they will definitely stand by their word, and they will fight for the students' rights. They will do what's in the best interest of students. And again, I think very importantly, they know their capabilities. And as a leader, or someone that, for me, like when I've hired employees in the past, I've hired contractors in the past. And the skill that was very important is not just knowing your strengths, but knowing your weaknesses. Knowing what your breaking point is. And you would only know your breaking point if you push yourself to that level. You look and test yourself. And this is a group of people that have been doing that with the CSU consistently, or outside the CSU, within different businesses, throughout their careers. They've been pushing themselves, and they know their limits. So I don't think it's out of character for someone to say that this might be beyond my depth. However, that's why it becomes a team, because I believe it's fully within my depth, because it's like actually what I do for my career, and I have been doing this in the Caribbean, and I've had success doing it. So every single member of the team might not be able to do have to face every single problem individually, but that's why we are a team, and that's why the slate works, because one person's weakness could be another person's strength, and I think that's why we work as a team.
Yes. Definitely. However, I would just like to say that also, as a person who has been also in coordinating and in management, first impressions matter a lot. And the first impression is that you could have from that slate is that half the members were not attending the first debate. The second impression is that there is only one member attending the debate. So how would the students interpret this? It would interpret most of them would interpret it lack of caring, honestly. It could be interpreted in other ways, but that would be most probably the first impression of students.
Sure, but do you also think that the Senate members and the council members that are not attending today don't care about the students?
This is not what I said. However, the executive place is way more important than the council and the Senate members. So, like the executives have a lot more duty, have a lot more responsibility, and lack of showing shows really lack of care.
No, I get where you're coming from in that sense. What I'm asking is, so do you think the Senate and councilors that did not show up today chose not to show up because they said that the executives matter more, or because their positions were uncontested, that they didn't see the need to debate? Whereas if there's only one contested position, which is the finance coordinator, and so they've given us a platform to sort of talk to the students for 1 hour, one-on-one, and debate that.
Well, again, like the council and senate members do not interfere directly with the student life. They advocate for them, but they do not they do not directly interfere in a way that the executives work on. And I mean, I understand that they are not being contested. However, at least the least you can do is actually show your opinions to your undergraduates, to the students who are willing to vote for you. That's the least, that's really the bare minimum that you can do. Just show your opinions, let people know who you are, let people know like what your opinions are. And then, even if you run uncontested, at least people know who you are. People, like when they see you throughout the campus, they know that yes, you are that person who is advocating for them.
Yeah, however, almost every single member on my team, besides just having posters up to get their faces across campus, they have been religiously tabling, they have an Instagram page, they have been showing their faces. So I think not coming to the debate was less of a matter of not caring, they don't care to show their face, or that they're running uncontested, more so to give us, like you and I, the platform to discuss our matters, because again, it is the only uncontested position. And I also think that the Senate members would have also came if their positions were contested. That might not be the determining factor, but it is a very big determining factor.
Actually, the debate is actually the only place in which they can clearly show their opinions. Like tabling is mainly to get votes. It is the debate itself is for people to further know about each candidate. I mean, tabling is rather just letting people know who they are briefly, and the debate is more usually where people speak like their mind and more usually say their opinions. I mean, this was my first thought, and this was also what some of the students told me. This is why I'm bringing it up, and I would be like quite deceived to see building momentum like that. But like again, this is not the main topic of the debate, but it was just something that I had to bring up.
Yeah, of course.
Yep. Yeah, thank you.
Well, yeah, with that, I think if there's no other questions from the audience, I think we'll leave it at that. So thanks very much, guys, for coming today, taking your time. And
thank you for the great turnout today.
Yeah, a lot of people are here having a good time. No. But yeah, really appreciate it, and just want to point out that, you know, like, showing up here and, share your opinion and everything like that, it's meaningful and has an impact on.
Yeah, I regret not being able to come to the last debate. I was trying to the last minute to come, but I literally could not move.
That is very understandable.
Yeah, but like I take this position very seriously, and I really want to make a change. And I'm sure Adam does as well. So if I had to leave with any message, it would just simply be to just come out and vote and show your interest. Just show your opinion, show your interest. I'm not saying vote for me. I'm not saying vote for him. All I'm saying is come out, vote. You have a voice, so use that voice because we listen to you.
Concordia needs, like CSU needs really a higher turnout rate. Not a lot of students are participating, and we need more participation.
Yeah, of course, and if you have any questions about how to vote, feel free to reach out to CSU. But you can do so simply just by going on the Concordia website. Polling starts tomorrow and ends, so March 14th, and ends March 16th. So just make sure you go out and vote.
Yeah, just maybe it would be important to tell them that they could receive like an email from CSU tomorrow in the morning, telling them like the instructions on how to vote, and there they can vote.
Yeah, so just keep an eye out for that. Awesome, thanks a lot.
Awesome.
All right, thank you.